Joined as usual by my sidekick, Mr. Matthew Holt. And very special edition of the final round. The fights have been off, so we took a little time off, so welcome back.
Yeah, good to see you again. It's been a little while now.
Yeah, and biggest fight in the history of combat sports when it comes to betting, of course. Obviously, I have the biggest fight of all time. But biggest fight tomorrow, McGregor Mayweather. But first, let's touch on Bellator tomorrow, and we have a special guest.
Bellator tonight now.
Sorry. Bellator tonight with special guest, One Kick Nick.
Yeah, look, this is actually a really good card in a fight I know we've been looking forward to for so long. Former Bellator welterweight champion Andrei Koreshkov taking on Chidi Njokuani, Chidi Bang Bang as we like to call him. And, this is a really big-time fight. The winner of this fight on paper was supposed to get the next welterweight title shot versus the winner of Rory and Lima, but now with Chidi's not being a welterweight, I think we've had a kind of a wrench thrown into that.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't made that weight in a while. His last fight was a catch weight. The fight before that, he missed weight, and the last time he has made 170. He's been over a year, and, young guys, they still fill out, especially tall ones like that. And we'll see what Bellator wants to do. It's their call whether they're going to want him to move up to middleweight after this.
And what do you think? I mean, and look, we're going to get a chance to talk to Nick, and maybe he can speak on this better, but you're in this number one contender spot where you win, you're actually going to get a title shot in a major organization, and then you can't make weight. You're never going to fight for the welterweight title. Is there a decline? And that has to be kind of an emotional roller coaster going into this.
Yeah, for sure. It's really disappointing. Really disappointing. And it's just like, what do you do after this? He wins this fight. He's not getting the title shot. If he made weight, he probably would have.
That's right.
So, what do you do? And then, too, I mean, even if he doesn't want to move up, it might be one of those things like, Dana White did with Johnny Hendricks. Be like, you're moving up. You can't make the weight. This isn't the first time you missed weight. So, and
it wasn't like he missed by a pound or two. I mean,
5.
That's right.
Yeah, 5. So, more on this story. Let's hear what One Kick Nick has to say. Right now, Koreshkov, pretty much he's been a 3-1 favorite since this fight opened. And at -2, I think it was -2.
280, it's down to now, yeah.
I got Chidi at, but
plus 270 you got Chidi.
Yeah, plus 270 I got Chidi at, and but it makes me a little worried now that he missed the weight because after all,
fighters that miss weight only win about 40% of the time. In the last 2 years, it's been really bad.
I'd like to see that.
In fact, the only one I can remember recently who did was the women's fight, and that was kind of one of those different circumstances where she was having some monthly female issues and couldn't make the weight, but still ended up winning.
Thank you for calling We are located at
No, sorry.
Uh-oh. Looks like we're having some technical trouble getting One Kick Nick.
Any fights on this fight? I wanted to find a dog that I liked, and I really couldn't do it. That Player Tugman versus A.J. McKee. Huge dog, plus 800, but I don't see how he's going to win this fight.
Look, I think we could start right at the main event and find some really strong value in the total in this fight. And so many times people get focused in on who's going to win each fight, not realizing that, look, totals provide some really strong value. And this is one of those cases. Andrei Koreshkov, 10 knockouts and 19 wins. Chidi Njokuani, 10 knockouts and 17 wins. Both of these guys tend to knock people out, and both of these guys tend to get finished when they lose. Oh, we got One Kick Nick, so we're going to go to Nick now.
Well, he likes the under in the Koreshkov and Njokuani fight. Right now we got our fellow co-host for the final round and coach of Chidi Bang Bang, a One Kick Nick Blomgren on the phone. Nick, thanks for coming on the show day of the fight.
That's right.
Could you guys hear?
I got bad news for everyone. If you bet on Koreshkov or whatever, you're going to lose money.
So I guess the biggest story is Chidi missing weight. What yeah, and me and Matt were just talking, even if he wins this fight, since he missed weight, he probably won't get that title shot. If and I know that weight's
It's a funny thing because when we were on the airplane over, we got stuck in Philadelphia, so all canceled flights. So we had to switch gears, and I came up with this great idea to rent a car and drive to Verona over here. So I drove through a hell of a rainstorm, and but we made it like 4 or 5 hours later. And by the time we got here, it was like, I don't know, 11 at night, 12 at night, so screwed up our whole weight cutting day.
So the weigh-ins were the next day? Or no, 2 days?
The weigh-ins were, we had 1 day to cut.
All right.
So screwed us all up on the weight cut. So it's kind of Mother Nature's calling, you know? But, so yeah, we got cheated out of a day of cutting weight. He's a big guy anyway. He needed that extra day.
So did Coker say anything like a Dana White says to guys who have trouble making up weight, like you're moving to middleweight next fight?
No, we figure that he's missed that weight quite a few different occasions, and we kind of came up with the idea of moving up to 185 anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or either that, you could talk Bellator and to moving the welterweight division to 175.
Yeah, we were talking about that too. There's talks about that, but
yeah, 55, 65, 75, 80.
He's missed his weight a few times, so we feel it's kind of an easier route to a title belt anyway. There's really nobody in that 185-pound division, so he can go through there and mop that up.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just hit them weights and get stronger and move up to 85. Not a bad idea.
I have him sitting right here.
All right, Cheaty, how's it going?
Hold on.
Yeah, so, I mean, what's the plan tonight? Everyone's excited. This is a big fight. Basically, the winner of this fight, is number one in line for the welterweight title fight. You're fighting the former welterweight champion. What do you got to say to the fans tonight?
Just tune in. It's going to be a good fight. I'm be ready. I'm be on point. So just look out for the excitement.
Yeah, well, we're all looking forward to the fight. A lot of times you get two strikers like this, and they're both of you guys with 10 knockouts, and everybody expects that quick knockout. Do you think it's going to be fireworks right from the opening bell tonight, or do you think, he's going to try to wrestle you a little bit?
Honestly, I really don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know I'm going to go out there and do my thing. I'm going to pick him apart. I don't know what he plans on doing. If he does want to wrestle, then I'm going to just stuff his shots and make him pay for it. Yeah, I really don't know what he plans on doing. I'm just going to do my thing.
Well, I could tell you that, that Stephan and I are behind you, and we've seen a lot of betting action on you tonight, so it looks like a lot of fans rooting for Chitty Bang Bang tonight. Good luck tonight, champ.
All right, Chitty, day of the fight. He joins us on our show. We appreciate that. I hate when people tell me this, but whatever. I got a little on you. You were a 3-1 dog, and I love that. I'll take you in those odds against anyone. So good luck, man. You do your thing. And he just got his chin check last fight, and I know that's in the back of his mind. I know you'll find it. All right, Chitty. Good luck. Chitty, bang, bang, join us, day of the fight. And that brings up an interesting point, too. I always love seeing the way guys fight, the fight following their first knockout loss. And that's what makes this fight more interesting than ever. And that's why I was surprised to see Korshakov open a 3-1 favorite.
Well, this is his second knockout loss. So he actually got knocked out by Ben Askren. It was a ground and pound knockout. It wasn't a standing one punch, like the Lima one was.
Yeah, it was a TKO.
That's
he didn't
right,
get slapped. Yeah, and that was in the fourth round after he was totally gassed out from all that wrestling. So I think that was more of a fatigue knockout. But this kind of knockout, when you're all confident and you're the champ and you already beat this guy and you just get slept with one punch, that type of knockout, rebounding from that, I mean, it's a huge mental barrier to overcome. He is a tough Russian, but I have the feeling it's going to make him a little gun-shy, a little tentative in this fight, and a little more likely to try to make it a wrestling match.
I don't disagree. I still think, though, with the way that these two strike and the knockout power they both have, that there has to be value in the under tonight at plus 145. Look, Chidi not making weight tells me, I'm not saying he's not in shape, but it tells me that he probably doesn't want to go 3 rounds tonight, and he's probably going to try to go in there and end this thing early. Because even if he doesn't, if you gas late, then you're more susceptible to getting stopped. I have a feeling these two are going to bang. And interestingly enough, both of these guys, I think all of their losses they were finished in. Both of Koreshkov's losses, he got knocked out, and all 4 of Chidi's losses, he got finished. So these are guys that tend to finish or get finished anyway. And the fact that you're going to give me plus money on 2 big strikers who tend to get finished at plus 145, that could be where the value lies in this fight.
That's right. Right now, you get the under at about plus 150. It's 2.5 rounds. So pretty much, if someone gets finished, you're going to win if you take that under.
Yeah, that's right. And I also have money on Chidi like you do. So, I like that side. I certainly wouldn't want to lay it with Koreshkov in this spot. But the more I break down the fight, the more I feel like the under 2.5 rounds at plus money, especially with Chidi missing weight by that much, really seems like the value here to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right now, a little money on Chidi. Might just take your advice and go the under as well. And other than that, I was looking for a dog in this card to bet on. Blair Tugman, huge dog versus AJ McKee, but checked him out, and not a dog to bet on. There's a reason that McKee's minus 1,300. Brennan Ward, Fernando Gonzalez. I like Brennan Ward, but he's been inconsistent. Like, he'll lose those fights he's supposed to win, and right now he's minus 110, so I'm not in love with that one either. The last fight is the Bruna Ellen versus Veta Ortega women's fight, and right now Ortega's minus 180, so Bruna Ella plus 150 dog, and I'm not in love with that one either.
No, I was looking to play on Brennan Ward myself, and then I saw an interesting stat. Brennan Ward in Bellator is 10-1 as a favorite, which means he beats the guys he's supposed to beat, but he's 0-4 as an underdog in Bellator. So when he's not supposed to win, he doesn't win. He just doesn't beat the guys that are a little bit above him. And in this fight, it's hard to really say.
Pretty much a pick'em here.
Yeah, that's right. So now all of a sudden we're in a fight that's a pick'em. What does he do? And this is a big-time crossroads fight. And Fernando Gonzalez has won 6 of his last 7. Yeah. He trains at a major gym at Team Quest up in Portland, Oregon. They're really good at getting guys ready. I wanted to bet Brennan Ward, and I just can't really pull the trigger right now, just due to his lack of success against guys ranked above him or slightly ahead of him. And I don't know. I didn't know what to do with this one. I could certainly see Ward getting the best of him, but not too many guys finish Fernando Gonzalez anymore. I mean, this is a guy who's won 6 of his last 7 fights.
And his loss before that was a split decision.
To Michael Page. His only loss in his last 8 fights was to Michael Page. And he even did a kickboxing match on that Glory kickboxing card against Paul Daly. Went the distance there, no problem. He's a pretty tough, durable guy.
So the best bets on Bellator, Chidi is a 3-1 dog. He did miss weight, though, so keep that in mind. And also the under between Chidi and Jokowane and Koreshkov. But other than that, I'm saving my money for the big fight of the century, Mayweather-McGregor. And the more I look at this fight, I think I'm looking for a reason to find a dog really, really, really hard. But I watched the Mayweather-Maidana fight, their first one, and I wasn't giving McGregor a chance at all. And then after watching Maidana, I thought he won that fight against Mayweather. Mayweather got a majority decision, but it gave me, it made Mayweather look human and said, you know what, if McGregor could land a couple big shots, he may be able to do this.
I have a lot of money on Floyd Mayweather in this fight. Not just a little bit, a lot of money on Floyd Mayweather. I think there are so many things in his favor. And if people are looking at this show, it's easy to say bet Floyd Mayweather at minus 550, but I think you could bet Floyd Mayweather at minus 130 to win by KO, TKO, or disqualification. And I really like the under in this fight. And here's Here's the examples I would give. Look, there's been some crossovers before, right? James Toney went over and fought a 40-plus-year-old Randy Couture in MMA. Couldn't last 2 minutes. Look at Ronda Rousey when she fought a professional boxer and kickboxer in Holly Holm. When she couldn't get the takedown, the striking was on very different levels, and that was even MMA striking. The two sports don't exactly replicate each other, right? There's very different rules, footwork, strategies, techniques. My problem here is I think there's a lot of ways in which this fight ends early. There's a lot of talk about the safety of the fighter, having a 0-0 guy go against a 49-0 guy. So I think the refs and fight doctors might be a little bit more quicker to stop it than they normally would for fighter safety reasons. And then when you add in the fact that McGregor tends to cut easy, cut versus Chad Mendes, cut versus Nate Diaz the first time, has a lot of scar tissue. If he starts eating punches, he could cut. And the other problem for McGregor cuts is he's an unorthodox southpaw going against an orthodox fighter, which even just having a southpaw and orthodox tends to lead to more clash of heads accidentally anyway, which opens up cuts.
It's that thin Irish skin. I got it too.
Never mind when a guy's already an unorthodox southpaw against an orthodox. It wouldn't be surprising to see an accidental clash of heads or two, open up a couple of cuts, and have McGregor make those cuts. I mean, Mayweather make those cuts much worse. The biggest factor for me in this fight, and I'm glad you brought up the Maidana fight, because early on in that fight, Floyd Mayweather hurt his hands. And because he hurt his hands, he didn't have the power to keep Maidana off him. And it's happened in a few fights. Against Berto, he hurt his hand again, still won the fight easy. He kind of has brittle hands. I feel like he's going to find opportunities to hit Conor McGregor very clean, very hard early. And if his hands feel fine, I think it's going to be a bad night for Conor.
Well, I heard from a little birdie that his hands are bothering him right now. They could be just BS the way he says he's not taking this seriously and he doesn't feel his conditioning's as good and he's been going out and blah,
his
blah,
conditioning
blah.
is unbelievable.
But yeah, that was a interesting point I wanted to bring up with you to see if you had heard anything about the health of Mayweather's hands.
So, some of the people at our office are good friends with him. His club is right across the street from our corporate office. We kind of see him all the time. Everything I'm hearing coming from his camp is he is in unbelievable shape, and that his hands are okay. But his hands are okay now. What's going to happen when he starts landing clean punches? Because Conor's a bigger guy, and Floyd's going to probably have to put a little more oomph into him early. And we'll see how it goes. But if he doesn't hurt his hands, I really think this one gets ugly. And what we've seen Conor do in the past is when he's getting hit and hurt, because Nate Diaz hurt him with punches standing up. Conor went for a takedown out of character.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do, right? He got desperate. Conor tends to get out of his game when he gets hurt.
That was Paulie Maldonati's biggest critique on him is when the going gets tough, when he isn't having his way,
That's right.
that he folds, that he lays down. And you feel that Paulie was right in that analysis.
Maybe not 100% right, but I think the first Nate Diaz fight showed what happened when it's not going Conor's way. It wasn't like he was getting crushed. He whipped Nate Diaz that first round, but all of a sudden in the second round,
punches.
Yeah, Nate Diaz started landing. That's not strange. Nate Diaz can box, and he's long, and he's rangy. And Conor did not like getting hit at all. I mean, he was hurt. He went right for a shot, a takedown on a jiu-jitsu master like Nate Diaz, and of course he got choked out. He hasn't looked great when the going gets tough. The great thing for Conor is in not many of his fights has the going got tough.
Yeah, not at all. So that's a good point. How's he going to fight when this gets ugly, when Floyd is getting the better of him? Is he going to be able to dig deep? But you brought up an interesting point. Conor is considerably bigger. And watching that Maidana fight, I watched both of them, by the way. Floyd really couldn't hit Maidana. Maidana's small. He was coming up a couple of weight classes. He was a 2-division champion, a couple weight classes below. And I was surprised when Floyd would hit him flush. Nothing really would happen.
Well, in the first fight, he hurt his hand. So even when he was hitting him flush, he wasn't putting all the torque into it, right? And it's hard to tell that from TV. Is he really giving everything he has into the punches?
Well, the second fight, he did fight him better, but and he did hit him with some really clean, stiff lead right hands, and never really had Maidana
some guys
hurt.
are just tough. I mean, Mark Hunt, if you feel like you could hit that guy with a cinder block and he wouldn't go down sometimes.
True.
There's just some guys that have those chins, right?
Yeah, but is Maidana a guy with one of those chins, or is Floyd just not the puncher we thought he was?
Does he have to be a big puncher to absolutely whip Conor in this fight?
To knock him out, I think he does, but spank him on points. My prediction has always been he's going to give him a boxing lesson.
Yeah.
He's going to, spank him on points. But knocking him out, I'm not sure. I like your point of the thin Irish skin and maybe getting a TKO due to cuts. Or the
Overprotective
volume, the
referees, yeah.
accumulation of punches, just lighten him
I
up.
don't
But I
think-
doubt we'll see him sleep Conor McGregor.
I think it's bad for Conor to lose the fight 120,
108.
yeah, just to lose it every single round horribly. I think he'd rather go out on his shield. And I think the refs, if it gets to that point, because of all the safety issues, we recently this summer in June had an MMA fighter turned boxer die from injuries he sustained in the ring. The safety concerns have been brought up a lot. I think if this one's completely one-sided and Conor is getting peppered, I wouldn't be surprised if one or two flurries from Floyd during one of these rounds and the ref just says, look, that's enough. This is a one-sided whipping.
So right now, the under is plus money, plus 160, and 9.5 rounds.
No, minus 190 on the under.
Yeah, okay.
The under's down on the bottom.
I was about to say, that seems like a steal.
And I think the under is such a big favorite here at 9.5 rounds for a lot of reasons. First of all, the safety issues. Second, Floyd's probably going to put a one-sided beating on him that they'll have to stop anyway. I don't think he'll sleep him with one punch. I just think the accumulation, they'll say enough's enough, which is better for everyone. It's not good for UFC either to see 12 rounds of domination. Just get it over with and stop it. And I think the cuts is an issue. We talked about the fact that it could even be an accidental headbutt that causes the fight to stop. And lastly, the one we didn't mention yet, the reason you have to like the under, what if, Conor gets hit, gets in a little bit of trouble, and does something out of instinct, desperation, grabs him, hits him with an elbow, takes and he gets DQ'd early. There's so many ways this fight ends early. There's only one possible way anyone talks about this fight going over. Floyd hurts his hands, gives him a boxing lesson, doesn't try to hurt him, and it goes the distance. But every other scenario, the fight goes under. Conor wins. Everyone thinks it'll be by KO. Conor gets cut. Conor gets knocked out. The fight gets stopped because it's one-sided. There's so many ways it ends early. I think that's more the play here than the over. Even though you have to lay a little juice, you and I both like the plus monies. I think this is a minus money fight. Yeah.
Yep, just not my favorite bets. Taking a guy who's minus 575.
And that's why if you're going to bet him, if the under is such a big minus and Floyd's such a big minus, why not just bet Floyd to win by KO, TKO, or DQ at minus 130?
Yeah, that's a good point. There you have it. Some really interesting points you brought up there. You said pick Floyd to win by a stoppage at plus money.
Minus money.
Minus 190.
Minus 130. So here it is, 10-13. This prop, Mayweather Jr. by KO, TKO, or DQ, 10-13, which is minus 130.
Okay, and that's a different bet than taking the under.
Yeah, it is.
Huh.
But I don't hate the under either.
Yeah. I never realized that. See, I like picking, winners, doing the under. It's tough. I did it. I took your advice on the Cyborg fight, and it played off. But normally I don't look for those type of bets. Normally everyone wants to bet this fight, and I tell them, I'm going to take Conor. He's a huge underdog. I'm like, there are better 3 or 4 to 1 underdogs on undercards all the time.
And thing.
You just got to shop around and find it.
And I was on a show earlier here, VSiN, a local show, and one of the points I brought up that no one's talking about is, and I don't want to say Conor McGregor has no shot, and I said on the show about an hour ago, I think there's a possibility in the first few rounds that Conor McGregor lands a precise left hand and scores a knockdown. But this isn't MMA. In boxing, because Conor McGregor doesn't sleep anyone. All his knockdowns, the 3 knockdowns against Nate in the second fight, the knockdowns against Mendez early, the knockdowns against Eddie Alvarez, he's a precision puncher who knocks you down and then finishes you.
Yeah.
But this isn't MMA. When you score a flash knockdown against Floyd, he's going to get back up, take the standing 8 count, recover, and then go back to giving you a boxing lesson. I said it's very, very possible that Conor lands that one precise left hand in the first 3 rounds, scores a knockdown even, and then Floyd gets back up and schools him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real possibility. In
and I
MMA, you
think
score that knockdown,
yeah,
you get on top of him, hammer fist him, and
you're right. Conor's best chance of landing something like that would be in the first or second round, much like we kind of saw with Shane Mosley before Floyd got the time and figured him out, settled down,
Oscar
then put
De La
on a
Hoya.
boxing lesson. Yeah, same thing. Those first 2 rounds, I think he's going to be most vulnerable for something like that. But, hey, Floyd's never been down in his whole career. If Conor does that, even if he loses the fight, I think it'll be a moral victory for MMA and the UFC.
And I know they say Floyd's never been down, but Zab Judah got him. Zab got him. They called it a push, but
That was like 15 years ago,
it was a while.
too.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that age. A lot of interesting factors in this fight. But me personally, I'm going to save my money and find a good 3-1 dog on the next fight. Everyone is all about betting this fight too. There's a reason why I like to stick to MMA betting, because you could find those underdogs. There's more options available, more ways to win. In boxing, you look, and if one guy has the better hands, then he's going to be a heavy favorite. Yeah. It's going to be hard to upset the other guy. But in MMA, you have all those fights, all these different ways to win, and it's been a very fun game kind of going around and seeing how fights could play out and finding those good underdogs. Yeah. It's just more readily available in MMA than boxing because of all those different tools. A guy like Clay Guida could eat a knee in the last 30 seconds of the fight and lose it. Things like that just don't happen in boxing. So that's kind of why I'm staying away from the undercard, and why I've been staying away from the main event is because there's better underdogs to find in the MMA world.
I 100% agree. I think next week when we get back into this huge UFC run that we're about to go on, we're going to find a ton of underdogs.
Steals.
But I do think there could be some value in some of these undercard fights here. Obviously, the co-main event, or I guess you can't call anything a co-main event, but Gervonta Davis here, the tank, one of Mayweather team's most marketable young fighters. I wouldn't mess with that one at all at minus 4,000. Or anything to do with it. But I think if you go one fight down from there, Bodou Jack minus 400 against Nathan Cleverly, you can get Nathan Cleverly at plus 320. He's the bigger guy. He's the natural guy at this weight class at light heavyweight. He's a good, he's a tough, durable guy who's been in there. Bodou Jack's been in a lot of really close fights.
Yeah.
And I don't like guys that win split decisions, right? Because you just don't know.
He's had a couple
minus
draws.
400, that's right.
And even if he got robbed and they called it a draw, it was close enough.
That's right. He doesn't seem like he's a monster. He wasn't a monster puncher at middleweight, so it certainly doesn't seem like if you're not a big puncher at middleweight, why would you be a big puncher at light heavyweight? I think Nathan Cleverly's the harder puncher, the bigger guy, the naturally heavier guy, been in there with a lot of light heavyweights. At plus 320, maybe worth the flyer.
Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. Probably a better underdog find than Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
At pretty close to the same value.
And I looked at Steve Cunningham, too, as the same thing in the cruiserweight belt. The only problem is I worry about the 41-year-old guy. What has he got left in the tank? And I feel like this almost feels like a showcase fight for Tabiti just because Cunningham's a name. I certainly don't want to lay it because I could actually see Cunningham outboxing him. He's so skilled. But I just don't know at this point if he's actually still skilled or maybe he's just a name and now he's 41. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that guy can box. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. and then the other one that was interesting is this Yordenis Ugas fight, which was supposed to be our boy in town here who lives here, Sean Porter.
Yeah.
And then Sean had a family death. Our sincerest regards to Sean and his family with what he's going through. But Sean was a minus 700 favorite against this guy, and all of a sudden Ugas is a minus 170 favorite against Thomas DeLorme. And, Ugas has to get ready in a week, do all the prep.
What do you think of DeLorme?
Well, I'm a little nervous because he was a 7-1 underdog to Porter, probably for a reason. It was supposed to be a Porter showcase. So this guy was supposed to lose originally, but with the late replacement, maybe he's worth a look. You know, at least he's been training to fight a top guy for a few months.
That's true. Then, taking a fight on a week notice. Who knows what kind of shape Tabiti's in, and if he, Ugas is in, and if he had a fight scheduled anyway, or if he's just coming off the couch.
Yeah, I have no idea, and this is really late notice. I mean, it was literally a week ago or so that Porter pulled out with the family issue. So, yeah, he may not be the worst dog. I'm not going to go heavy on any of them, but because I'm going to be watching them, if I'm going to throw $50 on a few undercard fights, they're all going to be dogs for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, we did really well before we had our break, and I do have a little extra money in my account to play with. Maybe go on a few dogs. But I am looking forward to when the UFC gets back in its rhythm, and I could go find those great steals, those 3-1 underdog steals that come up all the time. Another great reason to tune in to the final round. And that's pretty much all we have for you today, except one more thing I wanted to touch on with Matt. Jon Jones, steroid use allegations. Your thoughts?
First of all, I was devastated. I'm a big Boston Celtics fan that day, and it happened like an hour after the Kyrie Irving trade. So I was like all ecstatic, like, wow, we got Kyrie. And then I literally saw the Jon Jones thing and went, I'm going home. Like, I was so devastated that happened because the UFC needs that guy. He is a star. No one has ever beat him. He's so good. I'm not saying that he didn't do it, and unfortunately because of his past issues, he's going to be guilty until proven innocent, but I thought his trainer brought up some good points. This guy passed 7 straight drug tests leading up to the fight, and then he just fails the one on the night of the fight, and that drug turnabout doesn't kick in for, a month, 3 to 4 weeks before you get the effects?
It's only detectable in your urine for a week.
So it's
like he passed all those tests, and then he started taking something
the fight week,
the week of the fight, and really, like, you're not going to get any benefits of using steroid unless you take them for a couple months, and then you get bigger and stronger. So passing all those tests and then using something for a couple days, just it doesn't make sense.
It didn't to me either.
Brings up my theory. I have a feeling that this is all a conspiracy by Fox to get the title back on Daniel Cormier's waist. He's their guy. He's the guy they put on air. Their on-air star, if you will, Daniel Cormier. And, come on, if Fox could get Bush in the White House and rig presidential elections, I think they could rig a drug test and take the belt off Jon Jones.
Well, the UFC wouldn't do it. I mean, Dana needs Jon Jones. The UFC needs a healthy,
I'm not accusing them. Yeah. I'm thinking it's all Fox.
I did see a strange tweet in an interview from Daniel Cormier that people sent out where Cormier said he won't test positive in any of the pre-fight drug tests, but, the night of, he could be in some trouble. If you Google it, you'll find that. It's out there. Wow. And I'm like, wow. And that was 2 days before the fight where he said he won't test positive in anything leading up, but the night of the fight he could be in trouble.
That's crazy. Went, wow. Because if I'm Fox and I'm rigging something like this, I'm not going to tell Cormier.
Of course not. Yeah.
So just the fact that he'd be akin to be knowledgeable to something like that going on really raises flags, and maybe it's not Fox all along, maybe it's someone else, but I just can't help but believe this is some sort of conspiracy, and Jon Jones has been framed.
It is really strange. I mean, they built this whole thing around redemption for Jon Jones, and he fought an amazing fight that night. I mean, he was unbelievable. And for him to pass every seven drug tests in a row and then fail the night of, I mean,
taking something.
That drug, you don't take that drug the week of. That's I took that drug 3 months ahead of time getting ready, not the week of. Because if he would have failed those tests, you get it. All right, he was on the juice in May.
Yes.
Then he gets the effects July 29th. But he wouldn't even have got the effects.
He had no benefits.
Yeah, so it just seems crazy that you would build it around the Redemption Tour. Biggest fight of the year. Amazing performance. and he tests dirty that night after 7 straight, clean ones.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it and share mine. I did too. People have been calling me crazy, but it just doesn't add up to me.
Well, people call us crazy only because of his past.
Yeah, everyone assumes he's
That's right.
guilty. Oh, yeah,
That's
he's guilty, he's juicing. But yeah, all those facts, the fact that, you don't get the benefits unless you're taking them for a few months, 7 clean tests, the weak detection time, it just doesn't add up to me. I smell fish. I smell something fishy. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something fishy. And that was my conspiracy theory. The only one I could think of that would have the ability to pull something like that off and would have the motive would be Fox. Oh. Well, thanks for tuning in. Good luck on the fights next week. We'll be back to finding undercard steals, big underdogs that pay off. Good luck. Let's go Cheaty Bang Bang. For Matthew Holt, I'm Stephan Bonnar. See you next week on the final round. New time's going to be Friday from now on. Thanks for
Thursday,
tuning in.
earlier.
Sorry. Thursday at noon from now on. We just discussed it before. So see ya Thursday, a little earlier, noon Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in.